The heliocentric versus geocentric versus egocentric versus obsoletism. And I probably spelled that wrong because I think I just invented a word. We all know about the heliocentric model. That's one where the sun is the center of our solar system, and we orbit it along with a lot of other planets. The word planet means wandering star. People looked up at the sky and noticed that the stars of the celestial sphere looked fine, but for some reason, over a pathway you could trace if you actually paid attention to it, like if you were in a dry, arid environment, you'd notice that these planets do a pathway and a pattern that keeps overlapping and changing and goes backwards and forwards and seems to do a little bit of a dance. It doesn't make any sense. Why would it work that way? That seems overly complicated, and it also requires that there be something out there that's pulling them into circles and spinning them around like a bolo. People invented the mythos of each star being, a celestial light, a luminiferous fluid being, maybe. So let's look at the geocentric model versus the heliocentric by just looking at the geocentric simulations. You end up with spirographs. Now this is just one planet in the second one. If you do all the planets, you don't get something that looks like a flower. In fact, if you do any of the planets, you don't get something that looks like a flower at all. You don't get something that's pretty looking. It doesn't look like a spirograph. Lots of people post those and say, see, it's all synchronous and resonant, because they're called resonances. The second row with the red outside and the yellow on the inside is a little closer, because you may have noticed, if you actually pay attention to it, I'll leave a link to finding all these, you'll notice it doesn't look like it would ever really be stable. It's a pretty easy thing to figure out, but let's try this. The geocentric model on the right is trying desperately to use rounded numbers to make things work. So is the left one, as a simplification that makes it to where it's technically possible to do this, to where it can cycle through on an animated GIF in a loop. Why would someone pick the model on the right that, instead of making some god a watchmaker, making him somebody who threw gears in a box and shook it really hard in hopes it keeps going? The one on the left looks like the way you build a clock. And it is. We use gear trains. The simplified clocks that are all, the ones people used to use, they put the gears offset and it would look a little bit like on the right, but they did run timings that were fairly stable. This is what it looks like when it's running. Someone else made this. I did not make this. The chaos level that would be occurring if you had to have that requires that you have strange gravitational attractors, or whatever you want to call them, and you'd have orbits crossing each other all over the place. And because they're not synchronous, because they are not in resonance, these crossing orbits would eventually inevitably impact each other and destroy each other. This is not a functional model of a solar system on the right. And this isn't a straw man. This is using the presumptions that are made by people who claim this for only one reason. They refuse to make a model and show you how it works, because it doesn't. The one on the left mostly works, and it's a simplified version. If you make it to scale, you need a football field, and you need to get yourself a bunch of BB gun pellets. But you can scale it, and it'll still work. The one on the right, if you take it to the next level, literally the planets would all run into each other. This is with the presumption on the right that we're the center of our solar system, and everything orbits us. These wandering stars, planets, that's what the word means, are the fly in the ointment. If we didn't have any planets orbiting anything, we would just see a star background that seems pleasant, and a moon that lights up the night and sometimes comes out during the day, and we would see the sun during the day only, and that's it. It would be a really simple system. That is not the system. People would notice an extra star in some constellation and say, hey, Orion has an extra belly button, or whatever the euphemism would be, and wonder what that's caused by, and ask the people in authority. And they would say, I don't know. No, they wouldn't. They made up a story because they didn't want to appear to be ignorant. Since 300 BC, humanity has understood, most of humanity, Western world humanity, has understood that the Earth is a round sphere, and since a certain period of time, you can look up in the links below, we found out that we orbit the sun and nothing orbits us except the moon. And now we have a bunch of satellites to orbit us because, well, selfies. The Earth doesn't feel like it's moving. All objects in the sky appear to revolve around us except the ones that are called planets, and they tend to do this odd little dance. looping. It's comforting to think we're so important with the center of the universe, but we're not. One of these models works. The other one only works if you don't actually run the model for more than a couple of seconds or more than a couple of days worth of orbits and patterns. And then everything comes crashing down around your ears. It looks neat. It's pretty. It looks like spirographs, except the thing they don't show you is those are rounding off the numbers so that they look pretty. Otherwise it looks chaotic. It looks like something the devil would create. As is the third image that you see with the green lines. Or the one on the right. Or just watch the animation one more time. And the flat earth model, which doesn't even have a model to it, people avoid posting the answer, how does it work? They'll say, we can never know, even though we do know. Even the one on the left is an inaccurate model, but at least it runs without things smashing into each other as much. At least it runs in such a way that it would explain what we're seeing in the sky. The one on the right doesn't explain it. It tries to avoid the explanation on the left, and that's all. So that we're in the center of the universe, and God is in his heaven, and all is right with the universe. Well, it's not. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.